Tu gribi pievienoties? Hey, Dan. It's that.
Viens, divi.
Thank you, Anna. Cool, nice to see you all live, here in live. No math, great, right? That's a celebration right there. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna have a great speaker. We're gonna introduce to him as well. It's a great topic, you know. Awesome, you see that. But before we do that, I wanted to share about the school name of the school. English is what's not taught in school. It's basically a lecture series that we're gonna make every month throughout the year. That is about self-development topics. Our mission is basically to share the professional knowledge we have at Southwestern with the people who are outside of Southwestern and help them grow as well. And the vision is that we would build like these lectures in such a great attendance that it would be actually biggest lectures in whole Baltic. So usually it's like around 800-900 people per lecture. So now, currently, thank you for joining. Thanks to these 3 people coming now, it's around 100 people now in this place. Then we have a couple of people on Zoom as well. Yes, 55 people on Zoom, so that's good as well. Well, thank you there. And how you can help us is to follow this page, Konemat Skola, through the QR code, or just find it on Facebook. And the next lecture is going to be at the beginning of May, the first week of May. So you can book in your calendar the whole week, because it's going to be like 168 hours long. Simple as that. And then we have this great speaker, Dan Moore, in the corner, like warming up, like in the box ring in the corner, right? And they actually sent me an introduction of Dan Moore, and to memorize it, it would take me 5 days. So I'm going to kind of read it to you. And if I would need to read all the achievements of Dan Moore, it would take us 2 hours by itself. So we made it like very, very short. I hope Dan doesn't mind that we just took some of the 200 achievements he has had. So very cool things about Dan Moore. He's from America, obviously, if somebody's still wondering. And he grew up in northern New Mexico, which most of you doesn't mean anything yet. He attended Harvard University. He finished a 4-year program in 3 years in Harvard. How cool is that? Pretty cool, right? But there's a couple other things he has done. He has also MBA from Vanderbilt, where he was an honors graduate and class speaker. He started business role the same way like other tens of thousands of students did, and that's his Southwestern advantage, selling books door to door and leading sales teams. Yes, and then he probably served in Southwestern most important role. He was district sales leader as well, and then he went to pioneer several new roles in the company. And in 2007, he became president of Southwestern Advantage. So from student intern the first summer to president of the company, so that's a great achievement right there as well. And currently, he hasn't worked anywhere else, just in one company. For how many years then?
49.
49 years. Awesome. So I guess nobody in this room can do that yet. Hopefully. And he spends most of his time as a senior partner also in SBR Consulting, which is a consulting firm in Great Britain. Then also he's a member of Southwestern, which is a member of Southwestern Family Company. He also serves the board of directors for Southwestern Family Company and direct selling association. In all, he has trained over 100,000 university students and just young people to be successful in their lives, in their careers. So that's achievement then of itself. And also he has organized, or not like organized, hosted TEDx. Most of you know what's TED Talks, right? So he hosted one of them in US in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's pretty cool as well. There's like 1,500 people attending, so 1,500. We're getting there as well. Another cool thing, he has traveled 10 million air miles on a plane. So calculated, it's actually 1.5 years spent on a plane. Imagine 1.5 years spent on a plane. What do you do there?
Watch movies.
I think you're a pilot. Okay. And he has run over 24 half marathons after the age of 51. If you Google, then only 1% of Americans ever have completed a half marathon. Completing 24, that's like 1% of the 1%. And after the age of 51, that's just 1. Yeah, he has participated, also completed New York City full marathon, and he was 56, and he finished in the top half of 46,000 people. So basically, he ran faster than most of you guys. He has climbed mountains. Recently climbed the highest mountain in Portugal together with his wife, Maria. They have 3 adult children and 1 granddaughter. Whoever knows is the most beautiful child in the world. As always say. That's what Google says as well. And a side note for myself, yesterday we had this amazing opportunity. The sales leaders of Southwestern Advantage in Latvia have a dinner with Dan Moore, and he shared how he went himself to help to a refugee camp in Poland for Ukrainians. They were 20 kilometers from the border of Ukraine, and I think we sometimes take these things for granted and then we read them online. But imagine if you would be American, like living 8,000 or 10,000 kilometers away from this war happening, what would be your interest to going to some refugee camp in some Poland to help people you don't know? You wouldn't, right? But then actually, he had also friends that kind of chipped in and donated also money, also socks, which is kind of interesting. But in that situation, it's a big thing. He was with those people. He flew over there with his wife, Maria, and they personally met 500 people, it was, or?
That was about 100 families in the one place.
So basically, they went to one of the refugee camps where they met 100 families in the same place. They talked to each of the families. Had 2 Ukrainian girls as well who are part of this Southwestern Advantage program that helped, of course, with the communication. And they donated them cash as well, like money in hand, because that helps as well. They donated cash for medicine for the doctors that are in the refugee camp. And that's like really cool. Also a cool thing, they donated 40 kilos of socks. Wow.
A lot of
That
socks.
situation is helpful, you might imagine. So yeah, so it's a cool thing. He hasn't only achieved like academically, or also in career, but he's also a very, very service-minded person. Those who doesn't know what service-minded means, it means he just wants to help a lot, and he likes it, and he succeeds with that. So give big applause to them.
Thank you. Paldies, labvakar. Thank you, Kristaps. That was a wonderful introduction. I think we're finished. Goodbye. My wife Maria's back there, for those of you who have not met Maria yet. And I want to thank all of you as a people of Latvia for the openness you've shown to the Ukrainians, the support you've shown, the unity that Europe is showing in the face of this terrible, terrible thing. More people understand Latvia now in America than ever have before, because the news is talking about you. The news is talking about the Baltic peoples and how welcoming they've been. So we just want to thank you all on part of our part for what you've done already and the many things you're getting ready to do. We believe in taking care of our family, and the students who work in our program, we feel like are part of our family. So to help the Ukrainian student leaders was just a privilege for us to be able to do so. So I think we're all united. Slava Ukraina. So let's be excited about that. Yes, thank you. So anyway, I don't want to get too emotional here. Who heard me in the autumn on a Zoom call? Has anybody been to one of my seminars before? You've been to hear me before and you came back? You have no brain at all? What's going on with this stuff? Well, unfortunately, the only ones that can turn me off now are the people on Zoom. So hi, Zoomers. Nice to see you here. But some of you may remember this. And what we spoke about is the importance of developing ourselves so we can control what we can, influence what we can, accept what we need to for now, and continue to grow as we go through life. So tonight we're going to talk about something completely different. We're going to talk about how we can utilize the space between our right ear and our left ear to help us accomplish more of what we need to accomplish with our lives. Does that sound like a good plan? And I'll try to make this entertaining. I'll try to keep this less than 7 hours. Scared some of you, didn't I? So let's start with a math test, shall we? Who's down for math? Okay, good. Now, this one only has one question. I'm going to write it over here so you can see on that side. What is half of 8? Whoop, that didn't work too well. Let's see if this one works better. Half of 8 is 4. Kind of works better. What else is half of 8? 0. Okay, good. Half of 8 is 0. This is the top half of 8. What's the bottom half? 0. No, it's not 0, it's O. What else is half of 8? 3, right? Yes. Half of 8 is 3. And what's the other half of 8? E. Kind of like E, our little Greek letter epsilon over here, right? What else is half of 8? Here we have half of 8, kind of like an S, right? But most of you prefer this notation because you're fancy high-level people here. Well, what else is half of 8? Let's see. Some of you may remember your Roman numerals. So here we have the Roman numeral for 8. Now what's half of 8? Or 11. And if we look at it this way, now half of 8 is 6 or 3. And if we look at it this way, half of 8 is 5, or maybe 11,111. And if we look at it this way, half of 8 is, of course, 8. What if we look at it this way? Whoop, come on, pen, one more time. So here we have the word 8. So if you like Italian food, you probably like lasagna al forno. And if you ever go to Paris, France, and you see Le Tour Eiffel, then you know the other side of it. So how many answers do we have so far to our question, what is half of 8? There's a lot of answers. There's about 14 or 15, and there are more, but this is a family program. We want to keep it very clean. So the whole point of it is, this is a fun question to start with because I said, who's ready for a math test? And about 4 people said, yep. And the rest are going, oh no. And I said, what is half of 8? I was really proud of you. At least 2 people almost immediately said with great confidence, 4? And then I said, what else is half of 8? And who shouted out 0? You've seen this before. Now, Anya's just very clever. So when she said 0, some of you are saying, no, that can't be right. I've had time to confirm it on my phone. It's definitely 4. And then we began to see all these answers emerge. Oh my goodness, there's so many out there. Now, how old were you when you learned that half of 8 is 4? I was 12. Were you 5 years old, 6 years? You were kind of small, right? Can you imagine your teacher when you were in kindergarten or beginning school? And the teacher said, okay, class, what is half of 8? You put your hand in the air. You do that now, don't you? And you said, teacher, I know half of 8 is 3. She'd say, no. Teacher, I know half of 8 is 11,111. No. Teacher, I know half of 8 is le. Parlez-vous français, madame? Holy smokes. In other words, if we were to put 4, it would always be correct. But now we see all these other right answers. So the whole point of this illustration is there may be more than one right answer. 4 is a right answer. There might be more than one right answer. And some of you hope there's more than one right answer because you're dating someone right now and you hope there's more than one right answer. But anyway, these things do happen. So the whole point of this is we want to talk about how our brains work a little bit. We're going to try to look inside our minds for just a few minutes and talk about self-talk and self-coaching and how we can do a lot better. Who's ever heard of self-talk? Who's heard of self-talk? Okay, Giannis, what is self-talk?
From my perspective of it is what I say to myself, about myself, when I look in the mirror.
Okay, what you say to yourself about yourself when you look in the mirror. That makes sense to me. Let me start by telling you what it is not. It is not getting a mirror, as Giannis said, and looking soulfully into the mirror and saying powerfully to yourself, I am a tiger. I am a tiger. I'm a tiger. Rawr. First of all, you do not want to look in the mirror too long. If you look in the mirror too long saying I'm a tiger, something truly horrible could come out of that mirror. So you definitely don't want to have this coming out of your mirror. Some of you said, Dan, that was up there 2 seconds too long. All right, so it's out of there now. The whole point of this is to get us started thinking, what is self-talk? What does it mean to our attitude and everything we do? We all perceive things, don't we? Through our senses. We see them, we smell them, we hear. Well, we don't smell or taste when they have COVID, but otherwise, we all perceive through our senses. We touch and we feel. Is it possible perception can be confused, or fooled? Very possible. Let's take a look here. I'm going to put some lines on the screen. Tell me if they appear to be parallel lines, or if it looks like you could roll a ball down one of the lines. What does it look like? They're not parallel, right? It looks like you could roll a ball, but the reality is if we were to put a measuring stick here, they are exactly parallel. They don't look like it because our eyes are being fooled and confused. Here's one of my favorite ones. Count the black dots. Whoa, wait a minute, Dan. Now, this is not even an animation. This is just our eyes. The pattern of the light rays going into our eyes are confusing the light receptors, where it looks like it's going from black to white to black to white, but it's not. It's just a still photograph. Now, here's a reading exam for you. I'd like you to read this quietly to yourself, silently read this. It's about scientific files. Everyone finished? Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is read it a second time, and this time count the number of times you see the letter F. F like Francisco. And if you've seen it before, please keep it quiet. The letter F. All right, not too hard, right? So let me ask you a question. How many of you see 3 Fs? Okay, hands up, 3 Fs, okay, good. Who sees 4 Fs? Who sees 5? And who sees 6? Oh, no. Now, don't mess with me. I'm a little tired. I'm jet lagged a bit. Okay, let's try this again. Count them again. Count them again. Okay, now who sees 3? I'll be honest with you. Okay. Who sees 3? Okay, this gentleman sees 3. Okay. And who sees 4? Okay. Now you saw how many? 6. And you saw 6. And you saw 4. All right. This person, I think I saw 4. I'm not really sure. And you both see 4. You see 6. Are you so far away you can only see 4? Is this the problem? Okay, one more time with a lot of confidence. Who sees 3? Good job, for sure. 3 Fs up there. And you see 5. Okay, you that see 3, your name is Marta. Okay, Marta, your whole team is depending upon you to find more than 3. No pressure. Okay, good for you. You're very literal. Good job, Marta. You win. Who sees only 3? Some of you are afraid to hold your hand up, aren't you? Who sees only 4? Okay, good for you, brave person. Now, what if there was 20 euros if you could see more than 4? So pressure. Okay, don't mean to make it a hard time for you. Okay, raise your hand if you see less than 6. You see fewer than 6. Be honest. Okay, thank you for your honesty. Some of you are not raising your hand because you do not trust me. Good job. Well, here's the news. There are 6 Fs up there. There are 6. If you're having trouble finding all of the Fs, count how many times you see the word of. The second letter in of is, now how sees 6 Fs? Okay, and some of you saying, wait a minute, what the F? How did those Fs get up there? They were not there a moment ago. The fact is they were up there a moment ago. But when we learn to read in English, we learn the word of. And what is the consonant sound in of? Sound like a V, doesn't it? Sound like a V. So we skip right over it. So this is good news. If you're an excellent reader, you'll have a hard time finding all 6 Fs. That means I just insulted everyone in the room for a different reason, right? So this is a fun one to play with people. And this poor person back here said, there's got to be 4. I said, the group is counting on you. Pressure. It's like, oh, pressure's not helping. How about 20 euros? Ah. Here's the lesson here. If someone cannot see something, pressure will not help them see it. If someone cannot see something, financial rewards will not help them see it. People must first see something before they can own whatever it is. Does that make sense? So it's kind of a fun. You ready for another one? Having fun so far? So you said, no, is this over? No, it's not over. It may never be over. Okay, so do you see a young woman? Who sees the young woman only? Who sees the old lady? Who sees both? And who can't see either one? And who never raises their hand no matter what the question is? Okay, good. All right. So take a look again. Who sees only the young lady? Can you even see only the old lady? Okay, now who sees both? Okay, so if you only see the young lady, raise your hand. And people around them that see both, try to explain to them where the old lady is also. Okay. All right, please rejoin me here. Thank you all for trying to explain it so much. Now, who is one of the people trying to explain it to somebody that couldn't see it? Did you get a little frustrated? Like, come on, it's right there. There's an old lady. Can you see? There's an old lady. And the people trying to see her. Oh. In fact, even at the end, some of you are going, do you see it? They go, no. No, I don't. It's difficult to help someone see something sometimes, isn't it? Because the way our brains work, we lock onto an image. Young woman, lock onto an image, old woman. But now if you can see both, you can move back and forth fairly easily, right? From one to the other, which is kind of fun to do. I think you're doing a great job with this. Here's a fun one. This one requires writing this down. This is a very crazy English word, basane ex litna tears. It is not a real word, but to have real fun, please write it down. Basane ex litna tears, BSAIN-X-LEATNT ears.
Got it.
Got it. Perfect. You're fast. And again, if you've seen the answer to this before, please keep it to yourself for just a moment. Let others suffer in silence. Now, this word is nonsense. It's nonsense. Basane ex litna tears is not a word. But if you will eliminate 6 letters, you will reveal a very common English word. All you have to do is eliminate 6 letters. You can cross them out, blacken them in, move them, eliminate. Just eliminate 6 letters, and you'll find a very common English word. 6 letters. Now, the girls always get this first, unless the boys do. 6 letters. That's all we need to eliminate. Six letters. No Google required for this one. Okay, so who would like a little help? Anybody like a little bit of help? Thank you for asking. In English, how do you spell the word 6? S-I-X. And how do you spell the word letters? So here we have 6 letters. 6 letters. And when you eliminate them, what remains? You win the banana. You win the banana. Exactly right. So all we have to do is eliminate 6 letters and reveal the banana. Now, who's getting just a little bit frustrated now with me? It's like, come on, Dan, this is not fun. This is not fair. What makes this one very frustrating? It should be fairly obvious. What was I saying over and over as you were struggling with this? 6 letters. Hello, 6 letters. And some of you are saying, Dan, shut up. I'm trying hard to get 6 letters and you keep saying 6 letters. Okay, was that so much fun? You want another one? Yeah. I look at, yeah, bring it on, man. Okay, I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. Okay, here we go. Now, how many words are on the screen? Some of you are saying, I do not trust you, dude. 2 words on the screen, new and door. This time you don't have to eliminate any letters, but I'd like you to move the letters. So instead of 2 words, you create 1 word. You have to use all the letters. Please remain in English for me. Be fair to this poor guy up here. So we're going to create 1 word instead of 2 words. Move the letters and make 1 word. Again, if you get the answer, keep it quietly to yourself. Got it right, Cynthia? Okay, so 1 word. We have 2 words up there. We want 1 word. Some of you are smiling like you have it and you don't even have it. It's kind of fun. Some of you are sharing. So who'd like a little help on this one? Bit of help? Thank you, Lama. Good for you. Start with one of the O's. So move one of the O's into the first position. Then put the N, then the E, then the W, then the O, then the R, then the D. And now you're beginning to get really pissed off. It's like, come on, man. What makes this one so frustrating? Well, it's exactly like the other one you failed at. It's exactly like the other one. And you were ready. You said, okay, I'm ready now. Oh, dang, it hit me again. This is extremely frustrating. And believe me, every puzzle I'm sharing with you, I did not succeed the first time I did it. This one in particular, I waited 3 days trying to figure this out. 3 days. And then finally I said, okay, I give up. And they told me the answer. Oh, so upset. This is why I have round shoulders and a flat forehead. You give me these puzzles like, I don't know. And oh, you tell me the answer. It's like that. So it's much more fun to give you this pain than it is for me to experience this pain. Okay, so this one's a great trick to do at a bar, by the way. You can get some free drinks out of this one. So what's the whole point of this? The whole point of it is, even though we're all intelligent people with good eyesight, our perception can sometimes not be accurate. It may not be correct. What you thought I was saying and what I was saying might be two different things. Instead, we see the truth as we see it. We might see a young lady, someone else might see an old lady. I've seen groups begin to fight each other. No, it's old. No, it's young. No, there's got to be only 3 Fs. Forget it. I'll bet you 100 euros there's more than 3 Fs. No, there aren't. So we only perceive things the way we see them. This is why witnesses to a car accident will often report very different things happening, because perception can in fact be fooled. Let's see why this works. You may not realize it, but inside each of our brains is a person. The person is sitting there at a nice computer, wearing a headset, working like a receptionist in an office building. We know what this person does in an office. Someone walks in and they point that way, they call on the phone, they send them that way, they answer emails. They're receiving information, receiving perceptions and inputs. This is what this person does. Now, the inputs that we perceive are sometimes called a stimulus. A stimulus, for example, maybe the room is a bit too hot. So when we want to open a window to cool the window, that's called a response. Dr. Pavlov and his dogs messed around with this about 100 years ago. What happened in those experiments? Who knows? Anna.
He ring the bell, and he was feeding the dogs right after the bell, and then he figured out that those dogs are producing those,
Saliva.
Yeah, saliva, and everything that is needed to, digest the food, just because of the bell, because not even getting the food anymore.
So he would ring the bell, provide some food, ring the bell, provide some food, ring the bell, provide some food. Eventually, all he had to do was ring the bell. So this is a stimulus and a response. We all have these in our habit pattern. Something happens and we respond according to our habit. For example, if someone says, "How are you?" we mostly have a standard way that we answer that. No matter how we actually feel, it's a standard way to respond. Stimulus and response. Stimulus are things that happen to us. Response is what we do about it. This is how the conscious mind reacts. Now, the conscious mind actually works like a filter. A lot of information happens every day. Things we hear, we smell, we feel, we taste. A lot of information happening. And if we were aware of all of it at all times, we would probably go insane. So it filters out things that aren't necessary. If you don't think that's true, stop listening to the sound of the projector in the ceiling. Fortunately, we filter stuff out, don't we? And this is what the brain can help us do. It filters things out. Sometimes our past experiences cause us to filter certain things. If I say something like, "Let's do a math test," and about 4 people in the room say, "Yes, let's do it," and the rest of you say, "Math test," I'd prefer to take my lower lip and pull it over the top of my head than to take a math test. Not because we're stupid, it's because our past experience says math test equals no good. Math test equals no fun, math test equals pain. And so when the stimulus is math test, our response is, "Let me get out of here." Sometimes our mood, the things we're worried about at the moment. Somebody says, "Oh, that's a nice jacket." And you don't even think about your jacket. You say, "No, it's not." "Okay, it's not." "Yes, it is." In other words, sometimes we're emotional people, aren't we? Now, on normal days, we have habits that occur. For example, first thing in the morning, what's your first awareness? What time it is? You're better than I am. My first awareness is the sound of something saying you better get up, called the alarm, right? So the stimulus is the alarm. And on a normal day, we have a normal response. We hit the snooze alarm. On a normal day, we have another response, another stimulus, which is the alarm rings again. The response, we hit the snooze alarm again, right? This is normal response and stuff. But there are certain times in our lives when so many things are happening all at once, from different directions, different velocities, different importance, different impact, different emotional, that all of a sudden the brain just goes, stop. Who's ever had that feeling of emotional overload before, where the brain is just going, no. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. And the brain is screaming for help because the conscious mind can only absorb so many things at one time. This is why it's fortunate we have a subconscious mind as well. So think about it as a warehouse or a storehouse. This guy, Fred, comes from the warehouse. He offloads some of the pain of the conscious mind and disappears with it into the subconscious mind. And finally, the conscious mind can think again. Whew, what a relief. So what's going on in the subconscious mind? Oh my gosh, we've all heard about that. Among other things, the subconscious is where memories are stored. Imagine like a beautiful, beautiful thumb drive, but a lot more beautiful than that. Everything is stored, everything, every memory, everything that's ever happened, every conversation we've ever been a part of is stored in our brain. What's the problem? We can't get it when we want it. Who's ever spent 2 hours searching for a file, knowing it's there somewhere? You can't find it. This is the way our memories work. Now, studies have been done not too long ago by Dr. Andres Lozano. He's a neurosurgeon at the University of Toronto. He was working with a patient that had severe memory loss, memory issues, had permission to operate in the brain with the patient fully awake. Touching a certain center of the memory of the brain, suddenly the patient said, "Oh my goodness, I haven't seen that dress in a long time. It's yellow. It has beautiful flowers. I'm having ice cream with my mother in the park." And he removed the probe and the memory disappeared. Memories from 30 years before were crystal clear, showing that they're in there if only we could withdraw them when we need them. Most of us have had this experience in normal life. Who's ever had an exam that you really prepared for? You studied, right? You studied, you were ready. And a certain question appeared on the exam and you said, okay, I studied this one. I studied this one. I know this one. I know, and you can picture the page in your brain, right? But the page is completely empty. There's nothing on the page. And you just stare at your exam. So you finally draw a picture of a bird and you return your book and you walk away. Now, 5 minutes after the exam, what rushes into your brain? The answer. And you say, where were you when I needed you? You know, it's incredible. So we can remember things, but under pressure, we often don't remember. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and you didn't even know what to say? 2 minutes later, I wish I'd said this. I wish I'd said this. I should have said this. I should have said that. It's all in there, but remember, under pressure, we don't react as well as when we're not under pressure. So everything is stored in there. If only we could get to them. But it's also where this thing called self-image. Self-image. What is self-image? How we see ourselves. Pretty simple is how we see ourselves. For example, who enjoys playing sports? Okay, so like sports. What sports do you like to play? Volleyball. Volleyball. Okay, good. Do you love volleyball? Are you ready for the Olympic team? Okay, so you could be if you tried hard enough, I'm sure. So when I said, who likes sports? Some of you went like that and then, well, I don't know, kind of. She said, yes, volleyball, great. Ready for the Olympics? Well, not yet. See, self-image is not good or bad. It's degrees. It goes from, yeah, I don't know what a volleyball is, to yes, I'm Olympic gold medalist in volleyball. It's somewhere on that spectrum. And self-image is often confused. She has good self-image. She has bad self-image. Oh no, it's a spectrum. It can be anywhere along the range there. Self-image is the way we see ourselves. We see ourselves as very good in some areas Not so good in other areas. Many of you, if I said, we're going to do an essay exam, you'd say, great, I love to write. And the math people would say, do I have to? Here, I'll leave my right arm if I don't have to take that exam. It doesn't mean we're stupid. It means we just don't see ourselves as that way. In many ways, it's kind of like a perfect camera. Now, that's my camera at home, very modern, as you can see on the screen. Most of you are born with one of these in your hand. You know how that works. So your name is? Elena. So Elena, if I push record on my phone and you tell us your name, go ahead. Okay. And then if I hit stop, rewind, and play, what do we expect to hear? Yes. So if I hit stop, rewind, and play, and it said Lady Gaga, what would you all think? You'd think you really want this phone. Because a phone that would do that would be worth a fortune on eBay. You'd love a phone that could do that. But the fact is, if she were to say, my name is Lady Gaga, and the phone said, no, it's not, you sing better than she does. You see, phones are only going to record what we say to it. If we record the truth, it will replay the truth. If we record a lie, it will replay the lie. The point of it is, recording devices do not have opinions. They just record. That'd be nice sometimes if they did have opinions. You're at some party and you go, hey, everybody, selfie. What if your phone said, dude, you don't want to take this picture? You sure don't want to post it. Might save us a little bit of pain sometimes, right? So the point of it is, phones don't judge. They just say, okay. So here's my question. What if we tell ourselves things about our ability that are not true? If we say, I can't do that, I'm not smart enough, I'm not athletic enough, I'm not talented enough, the recording device will simply record it, even if it's not true. This is the power of self-talk and self-image. Now, we have other resources in our brain besides our memories. We're going to make it really simple and explain 3 of them just for a moment. One of them we're going to call drive, D or drive, which is energy. Whenever we have a goal or we have a target, we have some energy. Let's see, this is Latvia. Anybody play ice hockey in here? Okay, ice hockey player back there. Okay, great. You like hockey, good. So let's suppose that you're out there playing ice hockey. You've got the puck. He's racing down. He's about to hit the shot. And you hit the shot and there's no net. Someone stole the net in the middle of the night. There's no net. The puck goes, no net. The other side gets the puck. They're right. No net on the other side either. How much fun is hockey with no goals? How much fun is basketball if there's no baskets? You see, when we don't have a target, we don't have as much energy. But who's ever been in a sporting competition where you've been playing for an hour and it's either side could win? You could win, they could win. You've been playing for an hour. What's your energy like at that time? It's amazing. It's through the roof. It's like, I gotta win, win, which makes no logical sense. You'd think after running like crazy for an hour, you'd want to crawl on the ground and just push the ball with your nose. Here, you take it, man. I'm going to take a sleep. But when we have a goal and we have a target, our energy is amazing. Think about these exams again. Have you ever realized you have an exam coming that you forgot to prepare for? You have 2 reactions. Either you drink heavily or you stay up all night and studying motivated. It's called fear of dad or something like that. It keeps you motivated. So whenever we have a goal or a target, and we can say, do I have a target? Do I have a goal? Then I have more energy. Maria was out of town one day and I decided to test this. I said, Maria's not going to be here all day. I'm going to spend the entire day doing nothing. So I got up early so I could start early doing nothing. And I sat in my favorite chair to do nothing. Nothing is great. Think I'll watch TV. Nope. That would be doing something. Nothing, Dan, nothing. Think I'll read? Nope, can't read. They're supposed to do nothing. In 10 minutes, I was completely sound asleep. At the end of that day, I was exhausted, like I had run 50 kilometers with bricks on my back. Because when there is no goal, there is no energy. When there's a goal that's important to us, energy comes from the sky. So this is the first thing to understand, is that when we have a target, we can get there. Now, when we have a target that we don't know how to achieve, this is what another part of the brain that we're going to call creativity, which answers the question, how can I get there? I have a goal. How can I get there? I have a goal. How can I get there? The creativity is something that every human has. But if I said to you, how many of you regard yourself as creative? A few of you would. I'd say, why? Oh, because I like to write poetry, because I like to sing, because I like to draw. But the fact is, every human is creative. Boys, think about a time when you were seen with a girl you're not supposed to be with. The story you created was magnificent. It was a work of art. You all know what I'm talking about. So we can all be creative when we have a goal that we want to get to. We learn how to get there. And then finally, we have this other resource called regulation to make sure that we play by the rules. Play by the rules. We know there's rules. Regulation says, is this within my comfort zone? Comfort zone. Who's heard comfort zones before? I think most of us are familiar with that. Comfort zones basically are modeled after environmental engineering, the people that develop heating and air conditioning for buildings. And if we were to set our point here at 20 degrees, let's suppose that it gets a bit too warm. The air conditioning would turn on to cool the room. If it gets too cool, the heat would turn on to increase the temperature. It's not efficient for it to turn on at 20.01 or 19.99. So the temperature is allowed to move up and down just a bit, from 20 to maybe 20 and a half to 19 and a half. This range that it can fluctuate is called the comfort zone. But if the temperature gets too high or too low, something changes. Human beings also have comfort zones. When we're in our comfort zone, we have this peaceful feeling. We enjoy doing what we're doing with our normal friends, doing our normal stuff. It's really simple. It's easy. We retell the same joke. Oh, everybody laughs again. It's just simple what we do here. It's in our comfort zone. But what are the feelings when we step outside of our comfort zone? It's almost like there's this physical notion of no. We begin to feel uncomfortable, right? It's really crazy. Sometimes our palms are sweaty, our knees are weak, our arms are heavy. There's vomit on our sweater already. Sorry. It's mom's spaghetti. The bottom line of it is, when we feel out of our comfort zone, we get all kinds of physical reactions to what's going on. Let's talk about comfort zones in just a moment. This is one of our newest books called My Fun with Pulvu. Pulvu. Maria back there is Portuguese. She's from an island called the St. Michael in the Azores Islands, the most beautiful place in the world. When she said yes, she wanted to marry me, I knew it was important to make a good impression on her extended family. So she said, good, my mom wants you to come for dinner and meet my aunts and my uncles. I said, cool. How many of them speak English? She said, none really. How's your Portuguese? I said, none really. None at all. Now, the night before, we had had some sausage and beans and rice, and it was fabulous. I was very familiar with that. And I said, so are we having beans and rice tonight? She said, no, we're having pulvu. What? Pulvu. How do you spell that, Maria? She said, P-O-L-V-O. I said, oh, you mean like those cars from Sweden? They're kind of boxy, but they're really safe. And she said, no, not the Volvo, the Pulvu. I said, what's Pulvu? She said, well, you'll find out. So I'm sitting at the dining room table. It felt like there were 200 people in the room, even though there were only about 10 of them, all staring at me, not smiling at all, wondering why Maria is marrying a foreigner. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, wonder what Pulvu is. My future mother-in-law, who's about this tall, walked in with a big dish, and she put it right in front of me, and it smelled kind of exotic. And she pulled the lid off, and that's when I discovered that pulvu is the Portuguese word for octopus. And it was steaming, and it was fresh, and the tentacles and the suckers, and it was all right there, and it was in front of me. And I remember clearly looking at it and thinking, oh, Maria, that's an octopus. She said, yes, Dan, the Portuguese word is polvo. Mhm. But Maria, I don't eat octopus. People don't eat octopus. Octopus eats people. And she just smiled and said, it's for dinner. Now, this is what's called a crisis of values. This is the family of the woman I love who said, yes, I'll marry you for better or for worse. And I'm thinking it can't get worse than this. And so I had only one recourse. I said what's called the missionary's prayer. I said, oh God, I will get it down if you will keep it down. So I took one little forkful of octopus and I put it in my mouth, and it was one of the best things I had ever eaten in my life. I had 3 bowls that night. Now, if I'm a good boy, I get it on my birthday. I love polvo. Release the Kraken. I love it. It's so good now. But aren't you all exactly the same about certain kinds of food? Oh, do you like these green vegetables? No. Have you ever tasted them? No. I just know I don't like them. See, when we're out of our comfort zone, we are out of our comfort zone big time, right? So let's try to put all this together with our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, the creative subconscious mind. So we have this stimulus that happens, this exotic creature's in front of me in a bowl, I'm supposed to eat it. My subconscious mind is going, oh my gosh, what's going on with this? Do I need drive? Yes, I want to get out of this room. Creativity, oh my gosh, I can't do anything with this. What are the resources I need? I need a missionary's prayer. That'll help me a whole lot. And let's see, what's this leading me toward? And then finally, what's going to happen with me is going to be a response. Does it take that long? No. In fact, something happens to me, the stimulus, it goes to the subconscious, all these resources comes up, and there's a response. Does it take that long? No. In fact, here's what happens. Something happens to me, and we respond. No idea all of this is happening underneath, literally thousands of times every day, because it happens almost at the speed of light. This goes a long way to understanding things we're afraid of. Everyone has fears. Most of the things we fear will never happen. They're imaginary. A study was done of American adults some years ago, and they said, what are you most afraid of? What are your big fears? Do you know what the most common number 1 was? Public speaking. Number 1 fear of American adults was public speaking. Number 4 on the list was dying a terrible death, which means the average American would prefer to die a terrible death than to speak in public. And where does this fear come from? Well, I think it happens when we're very small. Do any of you remember being 5 or 6 or 7 and being required to say something in front of your classmates, your schoolmates? Read a poem, sing a song, right? I remember doing that when I was a boy. There was a story I was supposed to recite from memory. Unfortunately, I got the story and the story's title confused in my head. So I stood up in front of my classmates and I said, my story is, and I launched into the wrong story. Now, when you're that age, your audience is who? Your friends. And at that age, your friends are always so supportive, loving, encouraging, just hoping you're going to do so great. Not exactly. So I launched and my friends are going, you know how kids are. So I said, oh, okay, let me start over. My story is, and I again began to tell the wrong story. My friends are going, and I said, oh my gosh, they're all laughing at me. Why? Why? Now, boys, when you're standing in front of a group and they're laughing at you and you don't know why, you know it's because something must be open. But you don't want to look. So I took a quick look, nothing was open. That's even worse. I don't know why they're laughing at me now. So I started again with the wrong story. The teacher now is going, and oh my gosh. So this recording device in my brain is recording every one of these impressions powerfully, emotionally, strongly. We go out to play in the playground. My friends are going, You sucked. You were so bad. And the recording device, rewind. I go in, my teacher smiled encouragingly. What did I see? She's laughing too. Ah, record, record, record. I go home. My mother said, how was school today, Danny? Ah, record, record, record. My dad said, why are you crying? And here's the incredible thing. These incidents only have to happen one time. The memory of it can happen over and over and over. And to our recording device, each memory is almost as strong as reality. Over time, it begins to realize, if I speak in public, stimulus, I will be laughed at, response. Years later, maybe you're in a professional role and the boss says, we need you to give a presentation in front of the company. Monday morning, you go, yes, boss, no problem, I'm ready. All weekend, you're working on it, preparing your PowerPoint, your audios, your visuals, you're ready to go, it's exciting. Sunday night, you begin to practice and suddenly it's like, oh no, I can't talk. Oh no, hey boss, I've lost my voice. You what? You've lost your voice? Yeah, oh, you don't know what happened? You can't talk? No, well, I guess you can't do the presentation. I'm like, I hope you feel better. Get well. Yeah, okay, boss, I will. Sure, I'll feel better. You see, the way our subconscious mind works, it can literally cause us to lose our voice or miss the appointment or be late rather than face the certain pain of knowing we'll be laughed at. Many people fear going to the dentist more than any other medical appointment because we have a memory of pain and we don't want that. In my own experience, I have forgotten more dental appointments than all other kinds of medical appointments put together because of early traumatic experiences with a very torturous dentist. So is there anything we can do about this, or are we just stuck? I think there's something we can do about it. We're going to talk about how to coach our way through it. First of all, self-talk, as my friend Yana said, it's what we say to ourselves about ourselves. Spencer Hayes was one of the most important mentors of my life. Grew up in a very small town with no money. His father left the family when Spencer was 3. Then his mother left him when he was 5. Can you imagine being abandoned by both your father and your mother? He was raised by his grandmother, became one of the most successful, most generous benefactors the world has ever seen. And Spencer often said, self-talk is what we say to ourselves about ourselves and what we choose to believe of what others say about us too. You see, others will say many things to us over our lives, right? Can we control them? No. But we can choose to believe or not believe what others say about us. This is part of our self-talk. It's what we say to ourselves about ourselves and what we choose to believe what others say about us. Self-talk often reflects our self-image. Here's just a typical example. Let's see. Over here, your name is?
Mars.
Mar?
Mars.
Mark?
Mars.
Say it, spell it for me.
M-A-R-E-S.
Mars.
Mars.
Perfect. Great. Like the god of war.
Like Mad is just Maris.
Okay, Maris. Got it. So do you speak Portuguese?
Not now.
Not at the moment. Okay, good. So would you please say good morning to everyone in the room, but say it in Portuguese language. He's looking for help. Looking at my wife. Good job. Very brave of you. And I'm being very unfair to you because I didn't expect you to know the answer, but you're a good player, Modest. So thank you. So probably this was going through your head. I can't do that. Dan's staring at me. Everyone's looking at me. He's telling me to do something I can't do. I can't do that. Who's ever said this part to ourselves? And I'll come back and help you in just a moment. So thank you for that playing. Who's ever said this? I just can't remember. Oh, I just can't remember. Darn, can't remember. I can't remember names. Oh, whoa, man, your name is so familiar. I just don't remember your face. Wait a minute, that's not ever going to happen, is it? How about this one? That's just the way I am. That's me, man. That's just me. It's the way I am. For example, how many of you have that friend that's always late? You know, that one friend who is, oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, if the job is to go from here to here, and you give me 2 hours, about an hour and a half into it, I go, oh, look, a bird, and I get distracted, and oh, music and cool stuff. And anyway, I show up 30 minutes late. Oh, dude, I'm so sorry, man. And you go, late again, really? And I go, yeah, you know, it's just me. I'm always late, you know. I've always been late. My mother carried me 11 months. It's always been late. We all know that friend, don't we? And then how about this one? I'm really stressed out. Stressed out. I'm so stressed out, I'm selling cortisol. I'm so stressed out. And we've all had these, we've all said all of these things. But John Milton understood really well what's going on here. When John Milton said the mind is its own place, and of itself can make a heaven out of hell, or a hell of heaven. The mind can take a great situation and make it terrible, and a terrible situation and make it better. John Milton understood this very well because John Milton, one of the greatest writers in the history of the world, was blind. The world John Milton knew was the world in his mind. How many of you know people that have many, many physical and mental obstacles in their life, financial obstacles? But when you meet those people, they're among the most pleasant, cheerful, productive people. They're amazing. And do you know other people that have every advantage and all they ever do is complain? You see, the mind can take a great situation and make it horrible, or the other way around. So I'm not talking about self-talk being like going to Hogwarts and this magic spell changes everything. I could go home tonight and say, I am 2 meters tall, I have blonde hair, and I can bench press 200 kilograms. I could say that 10,000 times, and I would still only be able to bench press 190. That was a joke. So what I'm not talking about is fantasy. I'm not saying anything about fantasy. What I am saying is a small adjustment can make a big difference. So, Maris, can you repeat after me? Say, bon dia. Oh, he said it, perfect accent too. Bon dia. Everybody try that. Bon dia. What do you think bon dia means? Good morning in Portuguese. Aren't you glad you came tonight? Next time you're in Lisbon, Portugal, and you've had too much to drink the night before, and a policeman catches you in the street and kicks you with his boot, you can smile and say, bon dia. All right. It'll open up a better conversation. Now, Maris, why can you say it now and you could not before? You didn't know how to say it, and I taught you, and you learned it. But here's the point. If I say I can't do that, what message is it sending to the part of my brain that provides energy? It says, you don't need me. If you can't do it, you don't need it. We're going to sleep. So I'm going to make a small adjustment and say this. I think I can do that. I think I can do that. I just don't know how yet. Can I ask everybody to try saying that one time? I think I can do that. I just don't know how yet. So when we say, I think I can do that, what part of the brain wakes up? Drive or energy. When we say, I just don't know how yet, what wakes up? Creativity. So with a bit more time and less pressure, Modest would have gone onto Google. He would have found, he would have run back and said, hey, Maria, how do you say good morning in Portuguese? He would have figured it out because he had a reason to do it and the creativity would kick in. But as long as we say, I can't do that, the brain says, then you don't need me. Please try this next time you want to attempt something you've never done before. And I'm not talking about getting on top of the Hotel Latvia and saying, I'm going to fly. That'd be stupid. But the little irrational fears we're afraid of, just, I think I can do that. I think I can do that. I just don't know how yet. Instead of saying, I can't remember, try this little visual. Say, it's coming to me. It's coming to, hang on, it's coming to me. I'll get it. It's coming. As if you're pulling it right out of your mouth. It's much better than saying, I can't remember. I can't remember anything, man. I can barely remember my name. It's coming to me. It's coming to me. Hang on, I'll be here in a minute. Instead of saying, that's just the way I am, say, you know what? That was me. I'm not that way anymore. I'm not that way anymore. And here's a fun one. Whenever we feel a lot of pressure, too much to do, not enough time to do it, we feel lots of this stress stuff. Can we change that a little bit? Instead of saying I'm stressed out, try, whoa, man, I am really in demand. I am in demand in a big way. Woo! Everybody wants a piece of me now, man. Hey, have your guy call my guy. We'll do lunch. Ciao. All right. Because what kind of people are in demand? Important people, celebrities, right? Popular people are in demand. Everybody wants a bit of them. When I say I feel so much stress, man, that's not as cool as saying, whoa, am I in demand? Seriously in demand. It also helps us laugh a bit. And have you ever noticed when you can laugh through a tough situation, it goes a little bit easier, a little bit smoother? Not easy to do that, but these things make a big difference. Self-talk feeds self-image. Dr. Maxwell Maltz was the first person to write about this convincingly and correctly. Now, his first profession was not psychology. His first profession was he was a cosmetic plastic surgeon, which meant he made a lot of money helping people have a different face or a different body shape. And people paid him a lot of money and he was very good. But he noticed over time that many patients loved his work, but other patients would look at their new face and say, oh, you did a bad job. I still hate my nose. It's ugly. You did a bad job. And he looked carefully. He did a perfect job. So he concluded eventually it's not the nose they don't like. What is it? Themselves. And he retrained and became a psychotherapist. And he helped more people find happiness through self-acceptance than he ever did through changing their face or changing their body. And Dr. Maltz concluded this. He said, the self-image is the key to human personality and behavior. It is the key to everything. If you can change the self-image and the personality, you'll change the behavior. It's as simple as that. Change the self-image, you'll change the behavior. Favorite example of this is a man named Viktor Serebryakov. And hopefully you're not too angry at your mother because she did not name you Viktor Serebryakov. Victor grew up in London, England in the 1920s and early 1930s. His father was from Russia. His mother was from a part of London called the East End, where they speak with a Cockney accent. Even native English speakers have a trouble understanding an East Ender. So he heard Russian in one ear, Cockney English in the other. Poor Victor grew up very, very confused about language. And he was hard to understand himself. When he went to school, the teachers tried to talk to him. He'd respond and they couldn't understand what he was saying. He couldn't understand what they were saying. And finally, they said he is untrainable. And in consultation with the parents, he was removed from school at the age of 12. He didn't have a job. He didn't have an education. So eventually he became a laborer in a factory. When World War II happened, he registered for the British Army and he had to do an intelligence test. And it was discovered that Viktor Serebryakov actually had an IQ greater than 160 points. Now, an average IQ is 100. What do they call it when it's over 150? A genius. When this was explained to Victor that he was not stupid, in fact, he was a genius, it took a little while for that to actually sink in with him because for years he told himself, I'm stupid. I can only work as a laborer. I'll never be successful. But once he began to understand this, he got curious and he began to release his energies. He began to study, began to learn. Eventually, he invented machinery that he sold to the same factory. He became a manager in the place where he used to be a laborer. He wrote several books. I bought one time. The book was called Astounding Puzzles by Viktor Serebryakov. And the only thing I could remember about the book or understand was the title of it. He became the first chairman of the International Men's Society. What do you think happened to his income? Through the roof. Now here's the question. What changed in Viktor Serebryakov? His self-image. Did he wake up one day more intelligent than the day before? No. But he woke up understanding and being aware of his intelligence. And what a difference that makes. So since our self-talk feeds directly into our self-image, because Victor for years said, I'm stupid, I'm stupid, I'm stupid. And eventually he began to behave like a person that's stupid. When that changed, his actions changed, his results changed. And when we think about our results, the grades we get, the quality of our relationships, the peace of mind we have in life, we think about this a lot. And when we think about it, it becomes part of our self-talk. So this is called the self-coaching cycle. And it's repeated many times over the course of a day. We say things to ourselves, good or bad or ugly. This feeds our self-image that makes no judgments, it just records. This self-image determines our actions determine our results, and our results feed into our self-talk. How many of you can see how a person who understands this can go to higher and higher levels of performance and happiness in life? Yeah. Can it work the other way too? Absolutely, it can. Now, most of us would like to have better results. We'd like to be more successful. We'd like to feel happier, be more fit, get better grades, etc. And so we can change our results temporarily if we focus on changing our actions. We can force ourselves to stop a bad habit by forcing. It's not easy. Changing any habit is not easy. How many of you, for example, remember learning to drive in the UK for the first time? I remember that experience. What are you saying over and over right behind the wheel of the car? Left, 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 stay left, stay left, stay left. Because changing habits is not easy. We can force a change in our actions temporarily. For example, many of you know people that have tried to quit smoking. Quitting smoking is incredibly difficult. Cigarettes are very, very addictive. And a person can force themselves to not smoke. They can say, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to smoke. And when you walk up to that person and say, hey, you want a cigarette? No, I'm really trying to quit. Okay, how about just one? Well, maybe just one. This is the self-talk of a smoker trying to quit. But if you approach the same person and you say, hey, would you like a cigarette? And they say, no, thank you, I don't smoke. That's the moment when their self-image has changed. Now, as we can temporarily improve our results by forcing our actions, but that's quickly going to fade, and the results also are going to fade. What's the only way to have a permanent change in our results? Change the self-image, and you'll change the personality and the behavior. Change the self-image, and the most important leverage point we have is our self-talk. We'd love to be able to directly control our self-image. I don't know how to do that. I can directly control my self-talk. And when we do that, it feeds the self-image. This will not happen instantly. It will not happen overnight. I promise you. It takes a long time and a lot of practice. Many of us are not in the habit of being our own best friend. Many of us are in the habit of being our worst critic. And until we can get past that, it's going to be very difficult to move forward. Now, self-talk is consisting of words that we call affirmations. An affirmation is simply a statement of the way we want things to be. It always begins with words. We're all familiar with words. So I'm going to put a couple of words up there, a few words up there. Spring holiday, go anywhere you want to go. Spring holiday. Something came to mind, didn't it? Especially thinking about how cold it is outside today in Riga. But my guess is what did not come to mind is you wanted to say, I want to sit on a BEACH, enjoy the feeling of the SAND, and absorb harmful radiation from the SUN. That's not what we think at all. When we think about spring holiday, we have these pictures that come into our mind, these images, this feeling of warmth. Because words should create pictures, pictures should create feelings. When we can do this correctly, the words can actually change how we feel. And the way we change how we feel changes the way we react and the way we act to people. So let's have a little fun with this one. Standard greeting. Somebody says, oh, nice to see you. How are you? What are normal responses? Pretty good, right? Fine. But if we're being honest, don't we often say, not bad. How you doing? I'm okay. How you doing? I'm alive. So just for fun, try this out. Next time you see a friend you haven't seen for a while, say, hey, good to see you. How are you? Use first person, say I, an action word, feel, and have fun. Look them in the eye and say, absolutely unstoppable. I feel absolutely unstoppable. And they'll look at you and go, whoa. And then just say, and you, how are you doing? See what they say. The whole point of it is you don't have to say this out loud. I understand cool cards and how important they are to maintain. I don't expect you to say to your friends, I feel absolutely unstoppable, you loser. I don't expect you to say that. So have your normal response, say, not bad, I'm okay. And inside think, if you only knew 1% of my true greatness, you'd be amazed. Because what we say to ourselves is so important. In fact, if someone else said to you some of the things you say to yourself, you'd leave that person. So let's focus on finding our own best friend in between our right ear and our left ear. Now, there's another very famous psychologist who works with another form of self-talk. His name is Dr. Bob the Builder. Who knows Dr. Bob? And what's the question he asks his team? Can we fix it? And they say, yes, we can. Studies in what is called interrogatory self-talk had groups of people get into one of three rooms. One group was encouraged to say out loud, I cannot, I can't, I can't, I can't. Another group said to themselves, I can, I can, I can. And the third group said, can I? Can I? Can I? For 2 or 3 minutes each. Then each group was given the identical word puzzles. Not shockingly, which group did the worst? The I can't. The I can group did measurably better, but the group that did the best was the ones that said, can I? Can I? Because understanding our resources mentally, can I unlocks creativity. It gives us a chance to do something different. So learn to ask questions. If a statement like, I can do this doesn't work, say, can I do this? And see what happens. I remember when Maria cheered me at the end of my first half marathon, she said, that looks like kind of fun. I wonder if I'd like to do one day. And I said, well, there's one coming up in Paris, France with the E1 organization. She said, I'll do one in Paris, France. So she trained for it, and friends of hers advised her to use good affirmations, good statements. And who's ever done a half marathon? Good job for you. What happens when you hit about the 16-kilometer point out of 21? It's called hitting the wall. It's not really a wall, it's imaginary, but it feels like you've hit a wall. The last thing you want to do is run anymore. In fact, you'd wish you never had to run again in your whole life. So Maria, of course, hit the wall, and she had been using her positive affirmation. Maria, this is what you trained for. Maria, no negative thoughts. And they worked for a while, but then they stopped working. So she's brilliant. So she said, hey, Maria. And Maria answered Maria and said, yes. You should always answer yourself when you call your name, by the way. Can you count to 60? Yes, I can. Then do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count it to 60. Good job, Maria. Can you count to 60 again? Yes, I can. 1, 2. And she counted away. When I saw her at the finish line in Paris, France, and she had her arms in the race, and she said, I did it, I did it, I did it. I counted my way through the race. The power of interrogatory self-talk. If a statement doesn't work, try a question. So my recommendation is let's develop affirmations in each of the areas of our life. We may have affirmations about our health, affirmations about our financial health, affirmations about our friendships, about our mental health, affirmations about our fitness, affirmations about our goals in life. And make sure that when we do this, we also are always aware of what we do correctly and well. Really quickly, how many of you think you do more things right than wrong? How many think you do more things wrong than right? Don't you raise your hand. The fact is you all do many more things correct than you do incorrect. You all do. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. So can we give equal time to the things that we do well? When you do something right, anything right, anything. For example, you have trouble waking up in the morning. So tomorrow you say, my goal tomorrow is to wake up before 12 noon. At 11:59, you fall out of bed and say really loudly, that's like me. That's like me. I got my goal. That's like me. The next day might be 11:58, then 11:57. In other words, when we do something right, this is like a mental high five to yourself. This is the only weapon that works against all the times we're so self-critical. It's easy to be critics of ourselves. I want to challenge you to be your own best friend, to be your own best cheerleader. Nobody else in the world has signed up for that job. A little technique that we teach in our consulting practice is this one. After anything that happens in life, don't go to this website because it's not an actual website. WWW stands for what went well. You go through a very difficult exam at your school. You think you may be passed, you're not sure. Start by saying, what went well? I'm still here. My body has not disappeared. What went well? I did not lose my pencil. What went well? I didn't have to pee halfway through. Whatever it takes, come up with some things that went well. And EBI stands for it'd been even better if I had studied more. Even better if I had breathed a little bit more and been calmer. Even better if. This is a way to get continual improvement in our lives. But let's always begin with what went well. It's much easier to begin with what went poorly, isn't it? What went wrong? Let's think about what went well. Now, do we ever make mistakes? I don't know about you. I make thousands of them, and they're brilliant and wonderful. My best example of this was years ago. Maria and I and good friends were out to eat dinner in a restaurant. Before the meal, the waitress said, would you like some wine? So we ordered different kinds of wine. We saw her over here preparing the wine. She put it on the top of the tray and was walking toward us to deliver the wine. She didn't realize there was something on the floor in front of her, and she tripped. Now, I was sitting over here talking to my friends, and I looked up. Oh my gosh, it was coming straight. And I saw it like in slow motion. The tray, the wine coming toward me, 9.8 meters per second, angle of incidence, angle of reflection. Suddenly I was covered with wine all over my body, my clothes, I was covered with wine. And I looked at the waitress and she looked at me. You know what she said? She literally said, I knew I was going to do that. I wanted to say, excuse me, if you knew you were going to do that, why didn't you do that at their table? Why did you do that at my table? But I was already covered with wine. I had no pride left. So I said, excuse me, miss, I'm sure this is the first time you've ever done that, isn't it? And you know what she said? Oh, you're right. I've never done that before. I'm so sorry. Why would someone that's never done that before say, I knew I was going to do that? Well, I think we know the answer. Who's ever been a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant? Okay. Is this not your biggest nightmare? This might happen. And so did you ever one that almost happened and you recovered some brilliant luck? You go talk to the other waiters and say, you know what almost happened? And you describe it in vivid detail. Your subconscious mind said, oh yeah, I can record that. And then one of the experts in your life says, you know something? It's only a matter of time. It happens to everyone. Your time is coming. It becomes what's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, I knew she didn't do that often. There's a word for people that do that often. The word is unemployed. So I knew she didn't do that very often. And yet this is what she was saying. So when we make a mistake, it's really important to say, whoa, that was a world-class mistake. I won a gold medal in the Olympics for this mistake. I'm so sorry. And then mentally say, I'll never make that exact same mistake again. I'll make a different one. It's boring to make the same mistake. I'm going to make a different one. Because we're all going to make mistakes. We can dwell on it forever, or we can own it, laugh about it, and move forward as much as we can. The other problem, though, is not when we make mistakes. It's when someone tells us something good about ourselves and we don't believe it. Some of you guys, you're really good in sports, and somebody says, oh, Ilya, that was a great shot, handball, you scored a goal. And Ilya says, oh, I guess I was lucky. Lucky? The guy trains for years and years. Lucky? No, I don't think so. Girls, you're worse. Oh, what a nice sweater you have on today. Oh, this old thing. I nicked this off a homeless lady. What are you talking about, man? We are not graceful at accepting compliments. We say, no, it's nothing. No. You think it looks nice? There's a hole right back here. You can't even see it yet. Please form the habit when you do, somebody gives a compliment, say, thank you. That makes me feel good. Thank you. That makes me feel good. Thank you. That makes me feel good. Have you ever given a compliment and they go, No, I didn't. It was no good. Don't you rush to give them another one? No, you don't. But if someone says, thank you, that makes me feel good, that's reinforcing to you. And wouldn't we live in a better world if people were more about giving than taking? One of the most emotional experiences we had last week, we gave some Polish zlotys to a Ukrainian family of refugees. They had a little boy about 9 years old. And a few minutes later, he came running to find us. And he said, you gave me something. I want to give you something. He gave each of us a piece of Ukrainian candy. That in the middle of this, he thought enough to be able to give us a bit of something because we gave him something. The world became a little brighter that moment in a very, very dark place. Trey Campbell, my colleague, shared this with me. A person once was reflecting on his life. And they said, you know, when I was young, I wanted to change the world. I found it was really difficult to change the world. So I decided I would change my country. My country didn't want to be changed. So I said, I'm going to change my town. I found I couldn't change my town. So I said, it's okay, I'm going to change my family. Now that I'm older, I realized the only thing I could have changed is myself. If I had changed myself, I might have been able to change my family. Our family might have been able to change our town might have been able to change our country, and we just might have been able to change the world. We can have very little control on what happens outside of us. We can have a lot of control of what happens inside. Regardless of who you are, regardless of where you go, please think well of yourself. Think well of what you're capable of doing. It's not written anywhere in the Latvian Constitution that people in this room cannot become the one that leads to the change the world wants to see. It could be someone in this room that finds the cure for cancer. It could be someone in this world that finally figures out how people can get along without wanting to kill each other. Somebody in this room might do that. I appreciate you coming tonight. It's been wonderful to spend some time with you. For those of you that work in our program, the next time I see most of you is going to be in Music City, USA. Those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm glad you came anyway. So thank you so much. I have the privilege tonight of taking some of our young leaders to dinner. Where's the B's and the C's in this room? So we're going to go eat some food. I know you have not eaten all week ready for this, so it's all good. And then the older group is going to get together and read books in the library, I think, something like that, because they're kind of old. So, Christophs, any other announcements?
Yes, give a good applause to them. Who likes jokes from them? Yeah. Congratulations. Yes. Who like both? Good job. So let's take 5-minute coffee break. Then Dan is gonna share the next 60 slides with you. We've done this.
No chance.
That's cool. So like I said, next event is planning to be at the beginning of May. Let's go on Facebook. Whenever at the school, I would need to go 50 slides the other direction, but I won't do that. You can just find it on Facebook. Thank you everybody for coming. There was 103 people here.
Bravo. Thank you. Appreciate that.
What's on?
Is that my clicker or yours?
Good question.
Might be mine.